Hi, welcome to Pink Boot Camp. We're going to talk about booking today, and this is such an important part of your business, so I'm really excited to talk to you about this. Mary Kay Ash said, if you're out of bookings, you're out of business. This is totally the lifeline of your business, so it's a skill that you want to get really good at and really comfortable with. So we're going to talk about booking today. All right, let's see. When you're a new consultant, you're going to be booking people that you probably already know, people that are your friends, your family, people you go to church with, people you know from your social circles, mommy groups, the gym, work, things like that, right? As you move forward in your business, you're going to be booking more referrals, maybe people from an event that you went to, people that you've met through a networking event or a fair or a festival, maybe a customer appreciation event. But it's basically all the same. No matter who you're booking, you're using a lot of the same words, a lot of the same scripts, and you're also using the same sort of formula and process. So first things first, you need to know that in booking, it's not like you're gonna get yeses from every single person, okay? So remember that it's not a 100% success rate. So check your emotions and make sure that you go in with eyes wide open, that there will be some no's and there definitely will be some objections. Okay, so know that from the get-go. But the great thing about booking is that we do know that we do have a success rate. At least 1 in 10 people that we ask is going to say yes. And if you know the people and you have a relationship with them already, you're going to increase your chances of them saying yes and booking with you. So remember those numbers, because it's something that is just part of the business. No matter what you're doing, no matter what you're selling, it's going to be about a 1 in 10 success rate. That's why we need to overbook and be prepared to ask a lot of people. Remember, you want to ask the many to find the few, and then the few will lead you to the many. I always remember that when I started my business. All right, so I'm going to show you a couple things, and there's a lot of resources here on this website that you can use too. When you're booking, I definitely recommend using the scripts that have been provided. Those are the tried and true words that have been used by many consultants, many directors over time, and we know that these words really work. It's amazing to me in this business that just changing a couple words can really give you a totally different result. So I don't recommend changing the words. Okay, you could maybe personalize it a little bit, but for the most part, stick to the script. Okay, that's going to help you have success. The other thing that you need to know is that the fortune is really in the follow-up, and that means that the people that are successful in this business are not the people that just tried once to ask someone. They're the people that tried a second time, a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time, a sixth time, a seventh time, 8th time. All right, the percentages show that usually it takes more than 5 to 6 attempts to actually get bookings with people. So don't be frustrated when the first or second time you're not getting to where you want to be. It's going to take multiple attempts. And we use a formula in our unit, and really a lot of people in Mary Kay and other direct selling businesses have been using this with a lot of success. And it's basically a process of reaching out to people with a phone call first, and then leaving a voice message, and then following up with a text message. Okay, so that formula seems to work really well because you are letting them hear your voice, and then you're letting them see a message on their phone. Email doesn't seem to work as well these days because there's so much coming in through email, and that can just be lost or forgotten. Please remember that when someone doesn't respond to you, it's often just because they didn't see it, or they happened to see it at a busy time, or maybe something just went wrong with their phone. It could be 100 different reasons, but usually the reason we think it is that they didn't want to talk to us, or they don't want to do it, or they're not interested. And a lot of the times that is totally not the reason why they didn't respond. So that's why it takes multiple attempts to get in touch with people and actually get an answer. So these scripts are going to show you how you would make that first contact, and then you would let them know that if you don't hear back, you'll try in a couple days. I tend to like to follow up in about 2 days. A lot of the scripts say 3 days, but that's my preference, is to do about 2 days later. And then you do the same thing again. You call them, you leave a voice message if they don't answer, and then you follow it with an immediate text. So you're going to do that 3 times. And if you still don't hear back after sending 3 different calls with voice messages and 3 different text messages, then you're going to say that if you don't hear back, you'll try them in a couple months, and you're just assuming that they're super busy right now. So that's a system that you can put into place right now as a new consultant, and you can use that all the way through your Mary Kay business. It is a godsend, and I tell you, you will see results with this method, but it takes consistency and it takes good tracking. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about next, is how to track this, right? If you're going to be in a process of constantly booking people, first of all, you want to start with a place where you have all the names of people that you're working with. And as a new consultant, you probably started with a long list of contacts. So that's a good place to start, and you want to track who you're calling when. Now, different people will do it differently. Some people will put it into their planner and they will keep track of who they called that day. And if they didn't hear back, then they move that name into 2 days forward. Some people will use a notebook and they will actually use highlighters and color code what they heard back from people. For example, if you used your notebook and you were starting to make your calls and you called the first 10 people on your list that you wanted to call on the first day, if you heard back from them and they booked with you, then you use a pink highlighter and you highlight that name and you put the date of the booking next to it. If you heard back and you got a response that was, yes, I'm interested, let me check my calendar, kind of a response, and then it just stopped, I usually highlight that with a green highlighter, because that tells me I want to get back with them soon because they are ready to book with me. And then if they are someone who didn't not respond at all, nothing, that's a yellow highlighter. And so I know when I look at that these are the greens that I need to call back right away to schedule. The pinks have already been scheduled, and the yellows are the people that I haven't heard from yet. And so 2 days later, I would put those people on my list to call again, and the pink people I've already booked, and I'm going to show you about what I did with them next. And then there may be occasionally that person who just says, no, I'm not interested. So there's a couple different things that we want to learn about how to handle that. Sometimes if you're talking to them over the phone, it's an objection that you could talk to them about. For example, if they say that they're too busy. There are a list of ways to overcome objections right here on the website, and you can refer to those as kind of a guide of what to say and how to handle it. It's always better if you can talk to the person rather than texting. It's harder to overcome objections with texting. You can try and you can be successful, but when you're talking with someone, you would basically just tell them that's okay or that's great, and here's how we're going to work with that. So no matter what they say, don't feel like they're basically telling you no. What they're doing is they're sharing an obstacle with you. They're sharing maybe an issue that they have, a problem, and they don't know how to fix it. Like they don't have a lot of money to spend, or they don't have any friends, or they don't really wear makeup, or they have sensitive skin. It could be a variety of different objections, but it tends to be the same 5 or 6 that you will hear from all women, especially that they are busy and they don't have time. So when we have a kind of a comeback that we can talk to them about and help them solve the problem and reassure them that this is really not a problem, this is totally fine, and here's how we're going to help you solve the problem. You are basically letting them know that it's workable. We can work with this out. Happy when they hear that from you, and they will be ready to book. Now sometimes they give you another objection, and you can overcome that too and give them another solution to their problem. And then they may have another objection, and you still give them a solution, and they still are not ready to book. So keep that in mind, that if they have an objection and you give her a solution, and another objection and you give her a solution, and another objection and you give her a solution, that's when you may want to say, well, maybe I'll check back with you in a couple months. And it might just be that right now she is just overwhelmed and she has too much on her plate and she just cannot imagine doing a pampering session, which is kind of sad because really those are the women that need it the most. And I really feel passionate that that is my mission, is to make women feel like they are important and they do deserve this. But sometimes, despite all the things that I try, they still just can't see a way to fit it in. So in that case, I do keep them on my list and I do check back with them in a couple months. And a lot of times, whatever was overwhelming to them has totally passed and they are ready to book. So you don't want to throw away those names. You don't want to write her off. Most likely it's not that she's not interested, it's just that the timing just wasn't quite right. So still keep in touch with those people and have a system so that you can remember to keep in touch with them. And I'm going to show you some other things about that.